This is John Canton, and I'm going to try to put together a little video here for a friend of mine who is trying to learn how to make whips. And she's having troubles getting from the floor plate down to the twisted taper. So this is going to be about how to do the twisted taper. I didn't have any whip that I was working on at the moment that was at the right point, so I just put together a couple of scraps. I've got hopefully some nicely contrasting colors here so you can see easily what I'm doing. So I've been doing a floor plat here, and at any time I can just decide that I'm done with this. I'm going to turn my work upside down so I can get at the other side easier, because I want to feed one set of strands into the other set. So I'm looking at the bottom side of my plating now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this topmost strand here, and I'm going to feed it into the lowermost strand. And then I'm going to take these two strands here, and I'm going to feed that upper strand into that lower strand. So that's what we're going to accomplish. Now, this is 550 paracord. This one's 550. These other three are actually 650. And what I've been told is that 650 supposedly is a wider braid than the 550. If you think about the numbers, it makes sense, but my experience is definitely not that. The only needle that I can ever get to go through the 550 paracord, the inside of the 550 paracord, is my absolute smallest Permalock needle. The other problem that my friend is having is getting the Permalock needles to work well. So what I'll do is I'll cut my strand at a bit of an angle so I get a point. And then when I melt that, I'll try to make sure that I maintain that point. So I'll melt it like so and try to keep that point, because the end of the Permalock needle is just incredibly small. I don't know, that's not focusing well, but it's really small. So I'm going to try to get that threaded in there now. Now, the next thing I really want to make sure about, since not all the fused area ends up inside of the needle, I've got some fused stuff hanging out here, and I want to make sure that that's as smooth as possible. So I'm feeling it with my finger. I can feel a little rough spot on there. I'm going to smooth that out just by melting it down a little bit more. I'm trying to get that smooth as possible, because when I pull this strand through into the other strand, any sharp edges are going to catch. All right, so let's go back to our plat here. Remember, we're looking at the bottom side of things right now, so it looks a little bit wrong. But I'm going to take what was my top strand here. Already lost it. There we go, like that. Okay. I'm going to take my top strand and I'm going to feed it into my bottom strand, which is the black strand, or the black is going into the brown, right? And I want to make that feed in there as high up to the other strand as I can. So I'm going to pull these all nice and tight, and I'm going to try to make sure that I don't have any goofy folds in this black strand that I'm going to feed in. And I'm going to put that in really close to the other strand, so I'm not giving it much room at all. I just work into the center of the brown strand here, that in and getting that past the end of the Permalock and into the actual material is always the hardest part. Now, I'm not going to actually take this strand all the way down out through the bottom of this brown strand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of the side. I'm just going to pop it through here and pull it out. So now I got the black strand coming out through the side of the brown strand. And I'm going to pull that up tight. Notice I have all this slack right here. That's what allows me to pull this down over the end of the strand. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to snip this at a bit of an angle again, right about there maybe. And then I pull the brown strand out smooth, run my nail over it once or twice, and you can barely tell I got just the slightest little snag right there where it came out. Not too bad. So now, I'm going to take this red strand and I'm going to feed it into my red, white, and blue strand. All right, and let's see here. Pull everything nice and tight again. Looks like I'm going to have to flip my knot over. I think I might have lost one of my plaits a moment ago when I was talking to the camera too much. All right, so we're going to take the red strand, we're going to feed it into the red, white, and blue strand. Once again, cut this at a bit of an angle. Give it a melt. Try to pull that out straight. Grab my fine lacing needle. Get that threaded on. I am pushing and twisting that quite hard. Oh, didn't work. They can be a pain to work with. I particularly hate having to use the very fine needle. But to get inside of the 650, that's what I got to use. Some of the 550 I can get inside with a medium-sized needle. But the 650, never. Okay, so that's on there nice. Get it out straight. And once again, I'm going to feed in really close to where the other strand is already laying over the top of it. That just kind of helps hold everything nice and tight. And I get that in there. Now, this last strand that I fed in is doubled up to right here. So I've got about 4 inches. I'm going to go in further with this strand. Because I'm actually going to be uneven with my strands, with my doubled strands, let's say. Because what I want to do is I want to get as much of a taper out of all this as I can. A little fold in there. There we go, that's better. Pull that tight. Now, like I said, I got about 4 inches here. Let's go about 6 inches on the other side. So I'm going to pull my red strand out tight. Measure myself about 6 inches, so right around there. And cut that diagonal. And then I'll pull this out straight, and you'll see that red strand just disappear inside. All right, so I've got strands fed inside of each other now. My next job is going to be doing twist these. And for that, I need hemostats, because this is by far the easiest way to get this job done. So, I'm going to find the end of my doubled material there. Put my hemostat on there nice and tight. And approximately the same area or so, I'm going to do the other side. All right, you can do this either direction that you want. I usually twist to the right and then twist the two strands to the left. All right, with the hemostats on here, I can just kind of hang on to them like this way, give them a little tug, and get this nice and tight. I got my brown strand wrapping over the red, white, and blue strand. Looks ugly as heck. But that's just scrap material, I don't care. Okay, so I got down to the bottom of my doubled up strand here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to find the end of the other strand, which is right about there, and we're going to put our hemostats on again. I like to have them on there really tight. It's not unusual for them to let go, and then you gotta redo it all, right? So I'm gonna twist this, and you can see the twisting looks very different. This is still doubled up here, and this is where the doubling ends. All right. What I'm doing now is I'm getting my twist going, and basically I have 3 strands. Up here, really, I had 4 strands because they were, fit inside. But now, really, I'm twisting with 3 strands. I'm going to slide these down a little more. So I'm about to the point now where I'm going to have no extra twist. No extra strands in there. Try to just do that last bit here by hand. I hate doing this by hand. All right, so now I'm down to the point where I just have 2 empty strands, no more doubled up stuff. And I'm going to do this one more time with the hemostats. So again, I'm twisting to the right. And then I'm wrapping them to the left. And I can pull them nice and tight and get a good tight final product. Alright, and let's say that's as far as I want to go, so I take off my hemostat, and I'll pinch that, and I'll keep that hemostat on there until I get my fall tied on. And that's about it. So there is how I do my twisted, tapered end on the, going from 4 plate. I don't know if it's plate or plat. I hear it both ways so often. And here's 4 strands right in here, twisted taper, and then here's 3 strands, twisted taper, and here we get down to just the 2 strands. And then you end up with just having 2 strands to do your fall knot with. There you go. Good luck.